Hi friends. Today I thought that we could do some supported forward folds. I don't know about you, but I've been feeling pretty anxious lately, and I just taught some heart openers, which are really nice if you feel like you're struggling to breathe, which is normally the kind of anxiety that I get, a lot of tightness across the front of my chest, and I simply cannot physically breathe enough. But for some of us, heart openers aren't necessarily the right answer. So heart openers are very energizing. Being able to open up your chest and breathe better brings more oxygen into the body, and it can give you more energy. And while this can be helpful for some of us that have the kinds of anxiety that are maybe more static, where you're so anxious you feel like you don't know how to move forwards, you can't make choices, things like that. So you're feeling kind of stagnant in your anxiety. There are others of us who experience anxiety as super flighty thoughts, trying to do too many things at once, not being able to accomplish tasks because you're working on one and then you're working on another and then on another and then on another, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of projects going, but none of them anywhere near completion. So for those of us with that mindset and that activity pattern, what we need is to settle down and feel more grounded and focused. So forward folds are a really wonderful solution for this because it brings our energy. You hear me say it in class all the time. It folds our energy in and down, and I really mean it. So this is the kind of frenetic energy that we're just trying to gather up in our arms and settle and hold on to it. Get it to calm down. So just like taking your arms and holding on to yourself, forward folds create this pressure, which can help soothe some of us. So if that sounds like something that's right for you, we're going to work through some poses with a bolster and some blocks. So if you have 2 blocks or just even something you can stack up, that'd be perfect. Big bolster, pillow, whatever you have is going to work out just fine. So because we're focusing on that kind of energy that's super flighty, we're going to work a little bit with a controlled breath, and we're going to do it laying face down. So you'll hear me mention this a couple of times in different classes, but if you're feeling really anxious, lots of energy, laying face down on the mat, creating pressure across the front line can help us feel more relaxed. For those of us that this feels a little suffocating, laying all the way down on our front, you also have the option of laying on your back and taking your bolster or whatever kind of weight you have and just putting it on top of you, maybe even holding on to it. So that's a lighter variation of this pose that we're going to do face down. So I like to take my bolster and put it right underneath the line of my spine, and I like to have it end kind of at the middle of my shoulders. So not at the very top of my shoulder, but kind of where my deltoid starts. And then I like to fold my hands up and underneath me and drop my knees down to the floor. So you can take your legs wide or keep them narrow, whatever's most comfortable. We're going to take a couple breaths here. Breathing all the way in, all the way out, and really focus on the breath through the back line of the body. So notice how your ribs expand with each breath behind you. You may or may not know that we actually breathe better through the back side of our bodies than we do the front. So take some deep breaths here, all the way in and all the way out.
try to drop your weight through your major joints down and into the floor. Now pay attention to the way your breath is moving and how long it takes for you to perform each inhale and each exhale. Maybe if you're very anxious, the breath feels pretty short, and maybe your inhale is longer than your exhale. It means that your body's been in a state of needing oxygen to support all of the activity, whether it be mental or physical. So as we lay here and breathe, we're going to work towards bringing our breath to an equal measure. So if you count your inhale and it counts up to 2 or 3, you count your exhale and maybe your exhale is only 1 or 2. We're going to drop our inhale down to 2 counts and bring the exhale up to 2 counts, or wherever you might be. There's no right or wrong answer. It can be a little longer or it can be shorter. Then once you're coming to a place of equivalency, now we're going to try and lengthen our exhale a little bit. So if we're at 3 and 3, maybe we inhale for 3 and exhale for 4, or maybe even 5 counts. And as you work with the breath, you might reach a ratio of 1 to 2. So inhaling for 3 counts and exhaling for twice as long, 6 counts. And if that feels comfortable, you might be able to expand the breath a little bit further. Inhaling for 4 counts, exhaling for twice as many, 8 counts. But if at any point it feels a little bit strained, a little bit anxious, anxiety-inducing, ease back, come back to a lower ratio. Or just release your breath entirely, allowing it to flow naturally without control. Couple more breaths here. And then whenever you feel ready, you can slowly work your way up to seated. So you can transition through child's pose if that helps you feel more comfortable, puts a little bit more flexion into your back. Feels really good on my back. So if you haven't done child's pose, I would invite you to investigate it. You can shift from side to side. All right. And then we'll come up to seated. And we'll come into our first seated forward fold. So we're going to take our blocks. We're going to put them on either side of us. So we're doing this stretch cold. Our hamstrings are going to be very tight. So we don't necessarily want to aggravate them or encourage a big stretch, but we do want to encourage some sort of a forward fold. So we're going to take our blocks, put them on either side of our thighs on the highest height. Then we're going to take our bolster and put it across the top. So if you don't have something like this, if you don't have a big long pillow like this, you can also take one of your blocks, put it in between the thighs, and set your lift, wherever it happens to be, your pillow on top. Okay, so at least it's bringing it up a little bit closer to you. So from here, what we're going to do is simply lean forwards onto our bolster. So it's here, it's giving us plenty of support. I like to take my elbows and allow them to reach out horizontally from my shoulders and have my hands in the middle to give me a little bit of support. And we're just taking some easy breaths all the way in and all the way out here. Allowing your chest to slowly reach down towards your bolster. But like I said, we're not warmed up. We're doing this stretch cold. It's going to feel really big through the legs. But I want you to draw your attention to the back side of your body again, through your upper chest. Noticing how the breath is moving. Couple more breaths here, keeping your mind steady and here on your mat as best as you can. And then when you feel ready, we'll inhale, come up and out. And we're going to take our blocks, move them to one side of the mat, put one on the medium height right here, one on the highest height. And I'm going to shift so that I can face you, have my legs a little bit better supported. But now I'm going to lay my prop across the top of my blocks for a little bit of a ramp, and we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So your prop is coming right up into the inside edges of your thighs here, so as close as it'll come, and you can prop it up by bringing your blocks closer to you or further away.
closer to you is going to bring it up a little bit higher. I actually think I want mine pretty high today because, like I said, we're doing all this cold, so you want to make sure you have enough support. Then once we're here, we're sitting up nice and tall, making sure that our sits bones are planted firmly on the earth, and then we're going to lean forwards. So just taking our time, moving as far forwards as is comfortable. And then when you want, if you want, you can turn your head to one side once you come down onto your bolster. Take a couple breaths here. Feel your low back start to stretch and release a little bit more. We're not worrying too much about our legs here, so if your feet are rolling open or closed, that's all right. Again, focusing on the back side of the body, noticing how the breath is moving, trying to encourage it down. Imagine filling up the areas around the kidneys with breath. When you feel ready, you can turn a cheek. As you're looking over the other side. Deep breaths all the way in, all the way out. And when you feel ready, we'll press our hands down, inhale, lift ourselves up. We're going to use our props in this arrangement. I'm just going to move mine off to the side, but you're free to just pivot. So I always like to set up my ramp this way so you can see. But we're going to come into stag legs. So hip of one leg is going to sit right up next to the base of our bolster. Knee comes out to the side. And then shin is at a right angle to our thigh bone, roughly. Because we're focusing more on the forward folds, the legs are not as important. Then the back knee is going to come and tuck right into the sole of the foot here. And the opposite foot can reach back behind us. We're going to take our chest and turn it towards our bolster. You're going to get some lightness in the back hip here. That's totally fine. It's actually going to come all the way up and off the floor as you twist towards your bolster. And we're going to work towards walking the hands down so that you can relax forwards onto your lift. So face can either be pointing towards your knees here, the front of your mat, so to speak, or you can turn the head and look over your opposite shoulder. This completes the twist through the cervical vertebra, but sometimes it can cause a lot of pressure in the neck. So you can turn your face one way and then I'll cue you to turn the other. I'm taking a couple breaths here, allowing our pose to settle.
And then when you feel ready, if you'd like, you can turn your face in the opposite direction. And then when you feel ready, we'll come up and out of this side of the pose. And we'll do the other one. So you can leave your props here and just roll through the legs to face the other direction. So again, hips coming right up underneath the prop, roughly a right angle on the front thigh and the shin, but it doesn't have to be exact. Back knee is tucking into the sole of the front foot. Back foot is just relaxed down behind us. Back hip is going to get really light and lift up and off the floor. Then from here we just rotate forwards and ease our way down and onto our props. So again, option to turn the face over the opposite shoulder to complete the twist, or keep it facing forwards. Now you may have a difference between sides, and that's all right. Just try to breathe through it. Maybe you feel like you can breathe a little bit better on this side. Maybe the breath feels a little bit more closed off. Take your time. Working to fill the chest with air just like we did on the last side. And if you feel ready, you can turn your face in the opposite direction. Following your breath. And then when you feel ready, pressing down with both hands, working your way back up to seated. We're going to work our way into Shavasana, but we're going to do it by revisiting our prop setup from our first pose. So we're going to bring our blocks together, either right outside or right underneath our knees. And then we're going to place our bolster up over the top of them.
So what we're doing is coming into Shavasana with some support. Now, if you have a sofa handy, you don't need to do this. You can just throw your feet up over the edge of your sofa. But I wanted to show you my setup in case you don't have a piece of furniture like that handy. You can do this instead, which is a little bit lighter, softer than legs up the wall. It's a really nice alternative. So we'll lay all the way down, but our legs are nice and propped up as if they were on a sofa. So take a moment here, feel your weight dropping down through the pelvic girdle, down through your shoulders. If you want, you can cover up with an extra blanket. And if you're still feeling flighty, another really nice option is to take an additional prop. If you have another pillow or something like that handy, you can lay it across the front line of the body. Or simply take the arms and wrap them around yourself. So I like to just take my hands and rest them on the opposite shoulder. But however it works for you to help make you feel a little bit more grounded. Maybe it's just putting your hands over your belly. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes and try to relax through the legs, through the calves and the thighs. Feeling your breath settling back down and into your chest. And if your mind wanders off, just bring it back into this moment, this place, following your breath for just a little bit longer.
Remember, you're always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, you can slowly start to find small movements in fingers and toes, wrist or ankle circles, a roll of the head, stretch the arms, whatever helps you feel at home in your body. And then whenever you feel ready, you can slowly roll off to one side, being mindful of any props you might have around you. Spending a couple breaths here. And working our way back up to seated. So I hope this class helped provide you with a sense of grounding and calm, tranquility, and that you feel better equipped to move on with a calm mind, calm breath, calm heart. As always, thank you very much for practicing with me today. Take care. Namaste.